Alright, so on our last one, we created our database and our table. We've got 6 columns in there. Of course, ID, which is something that's going to auto-generate. The name, email, and password that we're pulling from our app and putting it in there. Confirmed, which is either going to be they verified their email or they haven't. And then a code, which is going to be temporarily generated. So it's going to generate a code. Once they confirm their email, the code is going to be set back to 0. So now we got to find a way, because we got to have some type of interface that we can talk from our app to our database. So we're going to be going into PHP. So before we get there, one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Google, and there's a bunch of things. I mean, you could write this code in Notepad. Pull up Notepad here. Give me just a second. So if I pull up Notepad and bring it in here, so you could do, because this is how you start a PHP. PHP, and then you close it with that. And then of course you would do something like echo, and then echo, and then PHP. So as you can see, I mean, yeah, that's cool, but if you hit enter, you're back over here. So we're gonna get a text editor that basically it already takes into consideration indentation, the different programming languages, and it's pretty good. I use it a lot for my HTML and things like that, and it's called Notepad++. So if you type in Notepad, and of course you'll see it up there, ++, click on it, and just go to Notepad Home, or you can click on Download. But we'll start at Home, then we'll go to Download. And you just come in there, and then depending on what you have, you can get the installer, which is the easiest way. If you know what you're doing, you can go to something else. Depending on what platform you're using, you may use a different one. You're going to have to find out which one you want. I'm in the Windows 10 right now, so this is the easiest way. So if you click on installer, so it'll start downloading. Once it downloads, just click on it, run it, and once you run it, you get something that looks like this. Now, there will be some writing on your first page. You can go ahead and just exit it, close it, don't save it, and you'll have a new page. So what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to create a directory that stores our PHP files, and that basically is unique to what we're using here, because later on down the line you might write some more PHP codes that maybe connect to a different database or something. So alright, so one of the first things you're going to do, you're going to click on, you're going to save as, because you have a new file there already, so we don't have to create another one. And we're going to go up here, we're going to create a new folder. So basically if you click on this, I mean, you can go into your actual file explorer and do this, or you can just do it from the save as. So we click new folder, and then of course we'll just call this bottom nav app. And we'll go in there and we're going to name, then we'll name our file. The first one's going to be constants, and that's basically things that we're always going to have. They're just variables that we're going to set. We're going to define them, and if you scroll down a little bit, it's gonna be a PHP script. So you want to find PHP. But as you can see, you got all kinds of other stuff in there, from JSON, which is the top one, SQL in here, uh, Visual Basic. You know, if you scroll up, you probably got HTML. So, and like I say, it formats for each of these. But we're using PHP. So we're going to go ahead and say save. And we're going to start it. So it's like what I say, a left arrow, question mark, PHP, which you don't have to do that. If you see it change to red as soon as you did the question mark, and then to close it, you got a question mark and then a right arrow. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to define some constants. So you hit your tab, and then you type in define. Alright, so I went ahead a little bit, and I basically put the stuff in there. So DB host, DB user, DB password. Of course, you can name these anything you want, and we're defining them. So you could just say host, user, password, but then we're doing, and I'm going to show you where to get this information. You got localhost, your user is this, and then of course your password is whatever you decide to put in, and you know, and you want to make sure you remember it, because like I say, you're going to have to access your database, and you're going to need that password to do that. So if we go back over to 000 web hosting, just to show you where you get this, you have to be in managed database. You go down, DB host is localhost. DB host is localhost. Alright. DB user is blah blah blah. We'll just say 8206 if you can remember that. And if you go back over here to, oh, where are we at? So 8206. Basically that's it. All I did was copy from there and put it in here. Then of course the password is going to be whatever you decide to put in. So you don't need the DB name, and I'll show you how to connect to the database in just a minute. I got to put in my password, and then I'll meet you on the connect page. Okay, once you had all that information in, you should go ahead and click save, and then go to file, and you're going to select new because we want a new file, and this is going to be a PHP2, so we're going to click file, save as, and this time we're going to once again go down to PHP. We're going to call this connect. Now you can put this all in one file. One of my reasons for doing this is that way my password and everything isn't readily available to everybody. Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. The way you start PHP is left arrow, question mark, PHP. Go down a couple, close, and right arrow. Alright, now one of the things that we're going to need is we're going to require once. And you'll know it's right if it turns blue. And it's going to be constants.php. Now this works if it's in the same directory. If it's not, if it's, let's say you have your constants in a say a private directory or something, you know, you got to know how to basically maneuver through folders. For the sake of this, we're just going to leave it in the same directory, so all we got to do is just call on it. We don't have to worry about how to maneuver through different folders and stuff with command line code. Alright, so once we require the constants once, because we're going to need those, we're going to create our connection. This is a variable, so you can name it whatever you want. Most of the videos I've watched to get this far just basically has this. It's a little $ con, and then it equals, and we're doing a new MySQLi. Of course, we're doing the database host, database user, DB password. So if you go over here, DB host, DB user, DB password. And if you keep them in that order, you know, same order that you have to use them over here, you should be good. Now, if we go over and to our back to our website, and we were on Manage Database, now we're going to go over to File Manager. And once you get to File Manager, somewhere down toward the bottom, you'll see Upload Files Now. That'll take you over to basically your website, a place where all your files will be stored. Now you can do this a couple ways. We'll go ahead and we'll create a new folder, and we'll call it Connect. Create that, and then we'll put our files in that, so double click on it, and now we're going to upload. And so you click the little, make sure you got that, the little arrow pointing toward the cloud, so that's your upload button. We're going to select files, and of course you're going to go into wherever you like. I put mine in bottom nav app, so we're going to go in there. We're going to select both the files, which you can do either holding the shift or the control. If you hold the control, if they're separated, you won't get the ones in between. If you hold the shift, you'll get all of them in a row. And then click on the bottom one that you want. And then click open. You'll see them pop up here. And then just click upload. Okay, now they're both there. So if we go back to our site, because we're going to want to go to where the files are, the site. Alright, so we're going to go in here. And this is where knowing, because basically the internet is like a giant computer. So we put them, because we're at our site right now, we put those in a connect directory. So first thing that we got to do is type in connect. And then we need to hit another / because that's the directory now. So inside that directory we have connect.php. Now if we get a blank screen, now we hit enter right now, we get a blank screen, that's basically telling us that it's good, but of course, is it good? We're not getting anything back, but we didn't get an error message either. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Alright, it's a blank screen. So let's go back and take care of that. So what we'll do is we'll go back over here, because we want to find out, we want something to say, hey, are we connected? So let's go back over here. We're going to type in an if-else statement. Okay, so I went ahead and typed in my if-else statement, and basically what I've said here, this is just like what we were doing before when we was doing all those comparisons on the strings back in Android Studio. So we're saying if basically this is not, so if it's bad, so if it's not a good connection, we're going to echo database connection failed. Else, the only other thing it could be is it's good. So, and if it's good, we're going to echo database connected successfully. Alright, so let's go ahead, and we got to save this. I always go to save all just in case I made any changes. Then we're going to go back to our site here. We're going to go back to File Manager. So you want the one where you had the constants in the Connect PHP. We're already inside that folder, so go ahead and right click on it, on the Connect one, delete, because that's the one we just changed, and we're going to upload the one that we just made the change to. So connect, and we're going to upload it. Alright, so now if you go back to, remember we had a blank screen, so now we're going to run it and we should get something now. So database connected successfully. Alright, so if you really want to test this, okay, because it's like, well, it could be a fluke. Let's check it out. So let's go back to our program and just do this. We're going to take the not statement out. So if you take the exclamation point out, now it says if connected. Okay, so if this is good, well, of course we're not going to change this because we're going to come back in and do, put that back in there in just a second. But so if it is connected, we're going to say that it failed. All right, so once again, we're going to save all. You're going to go back to your stuff here, to your file manager. You're going to delete that one again, upload the one you just saved, and upload it. Now go back over here and let's test it. So now if it's connected, it's going to say it failed because of course we didn't change those around. So you got to really watch what you're telling it to do. Computer's only as smart as what you tell it. So alright, database connected, connection failed. Okay, so that is working. So I'm going to go back and make the changes over here. So we're going to put that back in. You can hit Control Z to undo your last one and save all. Go back over here. We're going to delete that. As I say, anytime you make changes, always go back, make sure you made the right changes. Don't assume you did, because that's where you're going to wind up with issues down the road. Alright, so let's go back over here. Did that work? So it should be, alright, database connected successfully. So the last thing we're going to do before we end this video is we're going to create one more file over here. So we're going to go to File, New. We're going to call this one Register. So we're going to hit Save As, PHP, and we're going to call this Register. And save. Okay, so now, of course, how do we start off PHP? Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here to connect. We're going to, this is the easiest way to do it, copy all that, copy, Control C, paste it, Control V, and we don't need that because that's over in our connect page. So we're going to say we require once connect.php, and we're going to hit save all. And now you got to remember, we made a change to our connect. Oh, actually we didn't. Let's delete that. Okay, so we're deleting the if statement out of the connect, putting in the register, because eventually what we're going to do is kind of like in the application, this is our good code. So if the database is connected, we're going to go in and that's where we're going to start querying the database and checking things. So, but we got to test it first. So we saved all. I believe we saved all, but let's do it again. Save all. Let's go back over here to our files. All right, go ahead and delete the connect. And if this works, now we're going to upload. Remember the little arrow with the cloud. Select files, and this time we're going to upload connect and register. So that's where you'll, if you hit the connect, hold the control key, that's when you can grab multiple files without them all being in a row. If you did the shift key, what would happen is you'd grab them all. So connect, hold the control key, hit register, click open. Alright, now we're going to upload those files. Now, if you go back over here, remember we were working with connect. So right now, you have nothing. Why? Because our message is in the register. .php. So you have to change the name there to register.php, and you do it, boom, database connected successfully. Alright, so that's all there is to connecting your database. So it's connected. In the next video we'll get into, alright, how do we get to where we can actually put data in the database. Because there's a few steps, because there's some stuff we have to do here, then we have to jump back over to Android to actually put the stuff in the database. So we'll end that here, and we'll see you in the next video.